This is the Sports Source, presented by Junk Be Gone and Renewal by Anderson. Now, your host, John Pennington.
Welcome into the Sports Source. Glad to have you with us today. Thank you for joining us. We have a lot of SEC Media Day stuff to talk about. We're going to look at kind of alternate realities for Tennessee, the little what-if game in terms of what if this had happened, what if that had happened. It should be an interesting show for you. Lots of football for the next 60 minutes. Let's get right into this show. First segment brought to you by our friends at Junk Be Gone. And folks, I've told you that I use them every year, and I did so again just about a month ago. Now you can join me and get a discount. Get a weekend dumpster rental. That's Friday through Monday. They deliver Friday, they pick up Monday for just $250 instead of the usual $299. So save $49 just by mentioning the Sports Source. That is 4 days, Friday through Monday, for just $250. I tell you, I use them all the time. It is spectacular. If you've got a project at your house, call Junk Be Gone, mention the Sports Source. They will take care of you. All right. Some other guys that take care of me. We got a great panel here. Good to have my old friend John Wilkerson back from WNML. Thanks for joining us.
Sure do appreciate it, John.
We can hook you and lure you out of your busy schedule about once or twice a year, so it's good to have you here.
Glad to be here.
Mike Strange, Hall of Fame sports writer here in the state of Tennessee, but of course good to have you back here.
Thank you.
Hall of Famer right down here, Jimmy Himes, who is of course you were with the Sentinel for 1,000 years. You've done sports talk with John for another 1,000 years. So you guys have been around a long time. And down there, our own Hall of Famer, Chuck Cavaliers, longtime sports writer, media, radio guy, newspaper guy, TV guy. You do it all. All right. And also, I want to start today the same way I had to start last week, and thank those of you who are DirecTV viewers who have checked us out on Facebook Live, on our YouTube channel, on SportsSource.tv. This thing with DirecTV has dragged on. My apologies for that. I have no control over it. This station has no control over it. You, the viewer, I know has no control over it. Best thing I think you could do is probably dump DirecTV. And I say that as a longtime DirecTV customer who will be dumping DirecTV. But anyway, thank you very much for being here and finding us any way you have. Okay. SEC Media Days starts this week. It's kind of the unofficial kickoff to football season. It's going to be all football from here on out. Tennessee is going down there with, of course, head coach Jeremy Pruitt. He's taking Jarrett Guarantano, Daniel Batuli, Darrell Taylor with him. What do we think the main question, the main topic for those guys is going to be? What are they going to hear over and over this week at Media Days? Or they're actually down there on Tuesday. Yeah. What are they going to hear over and over Tuesday at Media Days? Thoughts?
I think Darrell Taylor is going to hear, are you going to be consistent? Because last year he had 8 sacks. He had 7 of those in 2 games. He had 1 sack in the other 10. He has the potential to be a really good football player. I actually had an agent that told me during the offseason that he thought that Darrell Taylor could jump up in the draft like Josh Allen from Kentucky did. I don't know about that, but I do think Taylor has the ability to be a more consistent pass rusher instead of racking up sacks in just a couple of games.
Okay. And I think the obvious question is going to be how much better is Tennessee going to be in year 2 under Jeremy Pruitt than you were in year 1, and is the consistency going to be there? I think you're going to ask every one of those guys that.
You know, one of the questions that I hope is asked, just to see what his answer is what did you learn in year 1? Or even more to the point, what mistakes do you feel you made in year 1? Because I think he would be honest with that. We already know that they're making some changes in the way he is divvying out responsibilities. He's no longer doing what most first-year coaches do, and that is, I'll handle it. Yeah, here, let me reach around you. Let me get this done. I can do this. Do it like this. He's taking more of a hands-off approach a little bit, being more that CEO. So I think he obviously realizes he makes mistakes, and I think that any coach could admit they have made mistakes. So to me, that's the question I anticipate somebody asking him, and that I most want to hear what his response is. What did you learn? What mistakes do you not want to repeat in year 2? Anything, guys, you think will be popped up there?
Go ahead, Jim. No. All right. I do think that you've already seen him react to the lessons learned from year 1, as you were just highlighting. You look at Jim Chaney being the hire as the offensive coordinator, Derek Ansley being given what he's been given as the defensive coordinator, and even adding T. Morton to the staff. I think he's thrilled with the staff, and I think he feels much better about the program as a whole going into year 2. So I think he'll be very upfront. I was actually pleased and a little bit surprised at how warm he was last year in Atlanta because we hadn't seen that kind of personality from him
Right.
during the spring. So I really think that he's more confident about the team, and I think he really likes the staff.
I think somebody will be asking when you're going to be Vanderbilt.
Soon.
My guess is that will be an in-state person who'll be asking about the Vanderbilt thing.
Vandy.com.
Yeah.
My guess would be the number one topic. I may be wrong here, and we're going to talk about this a little later in the show. As a matter of fact, next segment, I think there are going to be a lot of questions about Jim Chaney, because that impacts two different schools. Because he left Georgia, and of course, people in Georgia are saying, "Well, we ran him off." People here, no, they didn't run him off. We grabbed him. I think one of the main questions those guys are going to be asked is Chaney. And my guess is if there's going to be a question that goes to Garantano, it will be, how has Jim Chaney helped you improve as a quarterback? So, in terms of these guys' answers, do we anticipate? I mean, look, Dan Mullen can occasionally say something brash. James Franklin was pretty brash. Spurrier, we know about him. Kiffin, you never knew what was going to come out of his mouth. Dooley, sort of the same way. Pruitt doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that's going to be a lightning rod for controversy down there. I don't see that happening with these players. Is there anything you think that these guys are going to go, well, let's put it this way. Do you think these guys will at any point say something that becomes a storyline this week? Will Tennessee be one of the storylines of the week for something they say?
I'm going to say probably not, but I will be curious to see how many times Jeremy Pruitt references some high school he's trying to recruit at. Because last year it was, Grayson High School, and he mentioned West Virginia. So my guess is that he's going to mention maybe Catholic High School and some high school in Nashville. He'll throw that out
It's
there.
better to mention them than to tweet them and say
Exactly.
congratulations
Yeah,
for
right.
winning the basketball title in your state.
Yeah, don't congratulate his old high school because that's an NCAA violation. But you guys like me, you don't anticipate any kind of brouhaha coming from the Tennessee contingent, do you?
Well, I mean, isn't Garantano about the only one that's really had a whole lot of the media opportunities on the stage?
And he hadn't had tons.
I mean, well, yeah, but I mean locally. I mean,
Yeah.
Batuli hadn't really that I'm aware of. I mean, I know they could. They'll be good, I think, at answering questions, but I think they'll also be kind of cautious about what they're saying.
I think a lot of these folks are dull. It's, I think some of it's just nuts and bolts. And I think this is going to be a dull group. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think that's better than giving bulletin board material. But my guess is they'll be dull. Now, it'll be interesting if next week we're talking about, holy smokes, can you believe they said this?
In 2012, Derek Dooley said, I believe you won't have Tennessee to kick around
That's
anymore
right.
down
Yeah.
there. But other than that, Jimmy, see if you agree that, as a group over the years, Tennessee's coaches have been about the most boring
Yeah,
of any school.
I think they have been. I think they've been cautious of the bulletin board material.
sometimes it seems to me the controversy comes from like the SEC network guys, that may say something kind of like, wow, where did that come from?
Well, Aaron Murray, remember last year, right before the meetings, talked about how Jeremy Pruitt doesn't have the temperament to be a head
Right.
coach.
Right.
And Pruitt didn't bite. People tried to get him to talk about that, but he stayed away from that.
Yeah, I think Batuli's going to be polished. We know Garantano's going to be. I'm not even going to say that Darrell Taylor's going to be a wild card, but he's probably the least practiced in terms of meeting the media at the University of Tennessee than the other two that he goes down there with. And like Jimmy, I think it'll be interesting just to hear exactly what direction Jeremy Pruitt steers the conversation.
Right. I don't think we'll hear catchphrases like Butch Jones. And I do think Pruitt will be there, unlike his boss. I don't think we're going to get a speakerphone Charlie's Angels moment, like Philip Fulmer had to do to dodge a subpoena.
Hello, media.
That's right. Good morning, Angels. All right. When we come back, have we overrated Jim Chaney's impact? Media, fans, I think it was the best hire they could possibly make. I thought that was the number one target. They got him. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a flip of the switch. Or does it? We'll discuss that. Also, an ESPN writer says that Jarrett Garantano is ready for a breakout year. Is he? We'll discuss that next on The Sports Source. Come on back.
McLean's Painting, Knoxville's #1 painters since 1999. We turn your dream home into your reality. Visit McLeansPainting.com or call 769-8134 to set up your free estimate.